All right. Hey, everybody. Sorry for the late night live stream going on right now. We're just gonna go over some week 2 stuffs. Hey, fellas, we had an exciting this was an exciting weekend of football, man. I'll tell you from top to bottom, starting even on a Thursday with Colorado game was pretty interesting for the most part, and then going to some of the big name teams as far as like Georgia, Ohio State, Miami was a big shocker this weekend. Texas doing numbers, Bama looking like the Bama of old with a very explosive offense. I mean, it's just a lot really in total to kind of go over. What was y'all's biggest takeaways for some of these teams? Some of the outlier teams in my opinion that tell me who do y'all think were gonna be good that ended up just restating that hey, we are still at the top of the top as far as teams right now in the country.
So, man, I'm gonna have to start with Georgia. As you know, I think Georgia just does what Georgia does. They start slow, right? This is a revamp. They didn't have ETN, but at the end of the day, I think they still really dominated Clemson. Now, it's yet to be revealed as to how good Clemson really is, but I think Georgia was basically just toying with them all game. Carson Beck did not throw a forward pass longer than 4 yards in the first half of the game. And in the second half of the game, you know what I'm saying, he averaged 9 yards from the line of scrimmage as far as his forward passes were concerned. I, I think Georgia is as advertised. I think Texas is as advertised. I think Oklahoma, although I did not watch the whole game, I think they put up a good showing. When also Bama, I think Oregon disappointed a little bit, Colorado disappointed a little bit, Ohio State disappointed a little bit with not just a slow start, but their unwillingness to put the opponent away. But this is week one. Everybody's got kinks to work out. Penalties or flags are flying all over the field Saturday. So it was a little ugly. I think things get a little more serious this week. But at the end of the day, to answer your question, man, the usual suspects really came through, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. I think Georgia to me was an interesting game just because I think Georgia is a team that starts out slow, and I don't think that's something that we should be shocked by at this point. But I don't think that the pack is as thick as everybody think that it is. I think we really got maybe really four solid teams this year. I think those teams really kind of showed themselves in Georgia. To me, Oregon, um, Texas and Bama. I think those are the really teams that stood out to me when it comes to a lot of those teams. And outside just the main frame of teams, freshmen were something that with me that stood out the most. Some of the freshmen that stood up on week one were just like, it's different nowadays. These freshmen coming in straight from high school, ready to go and ready to perform, man. Man, we saw some real standout guys. So that was kind of the theme for me. But it's gonna be interesting going into what's next for this next couple weeks because things are gonna get thick. We got some big games coming up early. So this was a real good test for a lot of teams, and I thought everybody aced it. Most teams aced it.
And listen, one thing I was paying close attention to Saturday, and even tonight, I'm watching this Florida State game right now. I'm trying to stop from laughing, but quarterback play, man. After the Atlantic Coast Conference, it's the ACC. I'm talking to you. Y'all ain't got no quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how you think y'all gonna win anything without quarterback play. Now, Miami, y'all good, but everybody else. I mean, we are struggling at the quarterback position, and we also struggling just in straight out coaching. Period. The ACC is performing like a Mac, like the Mac or something like that. They're just the the top is supposed to be good. I don't care if it's two or three teams. Them two or three teams are supposed to be contenders. They don't have that, man. They don't have it.
Yeah,
What
I agree
that
because
though?
I don't know what could fix it, but
Like
because it
coaching or is it just something just with recruiting?
I
That's
don't know if it's recruiting or if it's transfer portal because look at a lot of these ACC teams. It looks like a lot of transfer portal guys. You got Cam Ward who worked out. Clemson refuses to use it. Florida State's using DJ Uyangale, which we're seeing live right now. How that's turning out. You got NC State who tried to take their big gamble and go get dang, I'm forgetting the guy's name. It was just on the tip of my tongue from Coastal Carolina who came to NC State. They were supposed to be a top team in the ACC this year. They didn't look too hot in their first game. Grayson McCall. So I mean, I don't know what the issue is in that conference. I think one that did work out, Kyle McCord coming over from Ohio State. Syracuse looked decent. They and even the coach came out and was like, "Hey, thank you Ohio State for letting him go because they definitely needed and wanted to use him." But other than Cam Ward and Kyle McCord, nobody else has really made an impact week one or even looked like, "Hey, I'm a top tier transfer quarterback or I'm a top tier quarterback in this conference week one." All of them seem to struggle mightily.
And does that really mean? Oh, DJ just threw a pick on 4th and 5 balls. It's coming back too. Uh, speaking of, uh, but anyway, I mean, coming out the gate, you supposed to be able to put a nice drive together. Come out of halftime, you got the ball, right? I mean, you're supposed to put a
Man,
drive together.
he
You're
got
supposed to
some type
score
of
here.
hitch. He got a confidence hitch, and it's just
Something going on.
because y'all
But
got to if you really think back in his day, he was compared to be like one of the top quarterbacks, right with Bryce Young.
Yeah.
Like them two was really battling to be in the top two people in the country, and to see where one is and see what the other one's falling to, it's just like
yeah, it's crazy. And so the portal
one of
for
the
a
great
second,
player stories.
while we watching this madness go on, so yes, these players they have this opportunity to roam freely, like coaches have been roaming freely for years. But how good is it for the player? I mean, how much research is the player doing, or is it all about the money? Are we going to the place that's going to pay me the most money? Are we going to the best fit? Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, the best fit is going to pay you long term. DJ over here may be getting paid more money from Florida State, but he may not get drafted, which means he may end up in the UFL making 40,000. You know what I'm saying, for a year. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the smart choice here? I'm just talking out loud here. Y'all help me out. But what's up?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really confused about it, but
Yeah. But I mean, on top of that, let me get what is y'all's opinion on who looked the best this weekend? Because in my opinion, the team I saw that looked from top to bottom looked like the best team I watched was Texas. Texas looked like they rolled into Saturday's game like they were on a mission, like they had a statement. The drop off from not having their top two running backs was a non-issue whatsoever. Kind of just picked up at business as usual coming out of last year. Like, hey, let's gear back up. There's no hangover, there's no layoff. You know what I mean? They got a big test coming up, which I'm sure will be one of our game of the weeks, and we don't have to touch on what next Saturday be with them going to the big house to go take on Michigan. But they to my opinion, Texas looked the best out of all the teams. I watched the Ohio State game. I'm taking Oregon out of the mix. Bama looked great. Um, Georgia looked good, even though they only scored 6 points in the first half of their game. It just looked like from the beginning of the game, Texas was just on another tear right now. They're coming into the SEC to make a statement day one.
So I'm going absolutely Texas, Bama, Georgia, Ohio State. Right. I'm not calling that's not my top four, but those are the four teams that I think honestly have really cemented themselves. Now, Bama, not take all the smoke and mirrors out of the equation, right? We know Nick Saban's gone. It's a new coaching staff. It's a new team. I think defensively, in a first game coming out, Bama usually routes their opponent, regardless of whoever it might be. Bama showed me something that I hadn't seen in a long time, and I didn't even know I'd be saying this soon. But they came out ready to play football. It looked like they were on a mission. Now, granted, a lot of penalties, and they got a lot of stuff they can clean up, but they played a very vanilla game offensively. The offensive staff they call very basic plays. You saw Milrow run a little bit, throw a little bit here there. You see Ryan Williams from Saraland. He's 17 years old. Just got a chance to see him get off or whatever case may be. These are things to come. We don't even know what this Bama true offense really is. And defensively, I just saw speed and getting after the ball. All the things you want your team to be doing in week 12, Bama's doing in week 1 against an opponent they know they was going to squash. So for that, I'm giving Kalen DeBoer and his coaching staff a whole lot of credit. Hope they can maintain that intensity throughout the course of the year, because if they do, they're going to be there at the end. Again, Georgia, like you said, Drew, slow start, but they did what Georgia does. When they get their running backs together, they're going to be even better. Texas, like you said, Van, just awesome. No drop off whatsoever without their running backs. They look like they here for a reason. Ohio State, I was a little disappointed in the fact that they let the opponent hang around a little bit, but you could always tell that Ohio State was they were just so far better than them. I'm disappointed in Ryan Day for not allowing that to be on the field, but them the four best teams in college football, if you ask me right now.
What's up, Trey?
Oh, you gonna say, hey, come in. Put your shirt on.
What's up, Trey?
What up, Trey?
All right. You
No,
want
so
to?
I'm right there with you. I think a lot of those teams shine, but I think one of the main factors that will come with Bama this year is the sloppiness play. I don't think we really have room for error. That's one thing that really kind of alarmed me with it. So I was really shocked at how things worked out and to put all those many points and having a shutout. I was like, those are the things that I really want to see from the defense. And then starting out the games early with interceptions, I'm like, those are things that I'm like, that's where I want to see that team at. But the sloppiness on offense is things that we got to clean up with the penalties and things like that, or something that we really got to emphasize going into next week. And it's gonna be a week by week basis for Bama to me. So I'm just really interested to watch the whole thing. And now it's gonna play out. So I think there's not much pressure on Bama. I'm really more worried about some of these teams that got a lot more pressure on them, like the Ohio States, like the teams that's really supposed to be going all the way to the end, and teams have bet all this money on them. And Ohio State to me was nothing. It's nothing too fascinating. I thought that was just kind of just regular to me. So I really want to see what they're gonna turn up with the next couple weeks because they got some big games coming. So they're gonna have to be ready for it. But it's all interesting when you watch the whole thing play out and how everybody's getting gelling early in the season because it's really a lot of slight play all over the board. But I thought Ohio State's freshman Jeremiah Smith is gonna be one of the best receivers we're gonna see in a long time. So it's something to watch
Yeah.
too.
What y'all think about 10 from USC?
Yeah, he shined.
Yeah, he looked good. Um,
But I thought the
another
way that game ended with a y'all thought that call was controversial targeting, or y'all thought it was just a no
no, that's textbook.
straight up.
Targeting all day.
That's textbook, man. That's the definition. I saw somebody put up, if somebody asks you what targeting is, pull up that play right there. That's targeting. I don't know what LSU had going on with them. They played a good game, but it just seemed like emotionally, this team was all over the place. Between the penalties back to back throughout that game, as far as unsportsmanlike stuff going on, the showboating, the dancing, the going off. They show old boy who had that first touchdown on the sideline recreating to his homeboys what he did to the guy to get the unsportsmanlike call at the beginning of the game. What are we
And,
doing?
and and listen, and that was the call. If you ask me, even though it was early in the game, there's a lot of time to recoup from that. That was the momentum changer that LSU never really got over, right? I don't think Brian Kelly really got over that penalty when that happened, and then they kicked off from the 20 or 25, and Homeboy ran it back to like the 30 or whatever. I don't think LSU recovered from that the whole game.
Mhm.
And it's a shame, and that's what Brian Kelly was talking about in his press conference. It's like, we beat ourselves. Now, USC, yes, they're better on defense. I can't believe in them wholeheartedly. They have a tumultuous schedule in the Big Ten they got to play this year. They may or may not be there when it's all over with. But LSU, I expected more out of them. Y'all know I've been talking about Brian Kelly and how much of a fan of him I am on this podcast for the past couple seasons here. And he's really making me look like a fool. He really is. He said it up there on the stand yesterday. He slammed his gum hand down and said, "I'm angry. I'm angry." Well, what you gonna do about it, Brian? You
He's
know what
got
I'm
an
saying? You're making
identity
me
issue.
look
That's what
bad.
he's got. He's got a true identity issue. He wants to be this. I think he truly does. I think he wants to be this big bad SEC coach that everybody fears, and they're just not that. To where they got so much expectation to live up to be this big and bad LSU team, man. They're just not that. I mean, they're just not. And at some point, we got to just really understand that and take that for what it is. So
All right, so while we're on the topic of LSU though, what did y'all think of their defense from the defense standpoint? Because that was one of our biggest keys to see how does the defense look going into this season, and that was a hard fought game from two very confident, which they showed later on in the game. You know, they kind of both offenses got off to a rocky start. But once they got going, you saw the offensive firepower that both of these teams can have. What do y'all think of that LSU secondary kind of picked up on? Did they look any better? Um, did they look about the same? Because I know the secondary has had a couple of issues and whatnot.
Oh, they're better. Oh, listen, they're better. I'll tell you this right now. I specifically watched the defensive line to even see if they were able to push a lesser, what I call a lesser opponent. You talk about the trenches. This is a whole different game we talking about down here. You know, there's a football game going on, but you also got a game going on down here in the trenches. And LSU's defensive line was doing everything they needed to do to neutralize USC. USC came into this game with a very nice offensive game plan. Okay. Which I didn't expect nothing different. I called it to go over. I was shocked that the defense was really doing what they were doing on both sides of the ball. But LSU's defense, in my opinion, was superior. But they had multiple opportunities late in the game to get off the field on third down, and they did not do it. Now, I'm going to say some of that was the brainchild of Lincoln Riley. He's one of the best play callers, situational play callers in college football. Playing against, one of the bad boys, or used to be a bad boy in the SEC, coming back or whatever. But to answer your question, I think LSU's defense is better. Is it good enough to help them win the SEC? No, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not from what I saw. Now, you play a team like Mississippi State, they gonna cause some problems for a team like LSU. Styles make fights, y'all. So I hate to go to Mississippi State, but I saw something special over there. We'll talk about that later. But LSU defense is better, but it will not help them win the SEC. They don't have it from what I saw this weekend.
Yeah, and I think week one is an interesting thing to judge everything off of. But to me, to answer the overall question, I think LSU's defense played better yesterday. I just thought they folded in big moments, which was defense and offense. Just because the same thing happened with the quarterback. I feel like the quarterback was so accurate early in the beginning of the game. It was like they were on point. You're like, okay, cool. This last all game is gonna be a real tough offense to stop. But then every third down, it's like, okay, we're not hitting it. And then Brian Kelly, to me, would suck the air out of the whole game, was going forward on fourth down. I was like, why are we going on fourth down so early in the season? Like, it's our first drive of the season. We're going forward and missing on fourth down. And it's a big momentum change for a lot of teams that giving the hope to other team. And once they had like that, you saw, to me, a lesser team having a better strategy to win the game. USC really just looked like they wanted to stay in the game until the end of it and then make a big play. That's exactly what happened. And LSU fell into the trap of making it feel like they took the game away late in the game, and the team comes down to beat them in the last couple of seconds. And it's just same old, same old. I don't think they've gotten that much better based on last season's defense. LSU has nowhere to go but get better. So they look decent, but long term, I don't think it's going to last long. I think we see this every year with them. I'm tired of it, to be honest.
And look, you just said something too. I agree with you completely, wholeheartedly. But you said going forward on fourth down. Me and Harrison had this conversation about an hour ago. Watching the team, you got 4th and 1. I'm calling all coaches. Please tell me why y'all do this. 4th and 1. You're going to line up in the pistol with a running back to your right or left side, 3 yards off of the line of scrimmage. You need 1 yard. What's happened to the quarterback sneak? What's happened to it in college football? Well, is it too easy? Do we just not want to do it anymore? Or do we just like somebody paying us not to do it? I don't understand. 4th and 1. LSU had it twice. Dion had it.
Yeah.
Deion Sanders.
Colorado
I'm sorry.
game.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm going. We talk about 4th and 1. I'm sorry. We ain't talking about Colorado right now. But listen, he had 3rd and 1 and couldn't get it. 4th and 1 and couldn't get it. Where was the quarterback sneak? I just
Not
So
even that. Where's the
they
I
don't do the
formation with
quarterback
a
sneak. They got
fullback?
too much money in their pocket.
Look, it's all over the place from that standpoint, from coaching standpoints. But it's a lot of I don't know. I don't know if people are trying to be too cute. They trying to do too much. I don't know what it is, and it just you sit there and it just makes you scratch your head. Like these people making all this money, right? They making all this money. It's a simple play. It's grown man football. That's what we playing right now. It's grown man football. Let's my guys stronger than your guys at the line of scrimmage. Let's go get a yard. What can we do?
Tush push, baby.
Yeah, tush this. Yeah, yeah. All right,
You
tush
know what I'm
push.
saying? That makes sense. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I digress on that. But since we did touch on it, I ain't trying to take the lead here, but y'all I did say North Dakota State was gonna be up on Colorado at half, and it was a good they made them work.
That was a good game. That was a good game. I liked what I saw. I don't know what I saw from Colorado standpoint though. You come out of that game saying what happened more so than you say, all right, I know what their identity is. You see the explosiveness that Colorado can have, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I think Shador played as well as a game as you could want him to play. But at the same time, you see a lot of the, like we just talked about, the decision making from the OC. Why are we complicating this sport with the players that we got on the field? And while we on the subject of Colorado, right? Is this going to be something that Travis Hunter is going to be able to do he played, they say he played like over what, 45 snaps?
He can't.
He going to do this every single game, every game of the season?
He can't. You can't ask. You cannot ask a football player. We talked about this last week in certain contexts. This is not basketball. You know, we talked about the Cinderella story. We're talking about the Cinderella stories that don't belong in football. You know, basketball, you have two-way players. When you play tennis, you're a two-way player. You know, there's many sports where you go offense and defense, and you're the guy or girl that does it all. Football, it's not that. And Travis, not the way the NFL is being played. I think Travis Hunter is going to end up being recruited as a defensive back or a wide receiver or maybe a specialist, something like that. But he's too small, first of all. The NFL is going to potentially eat him alive, trying to go both ways. Now, if he declares and says, "Hey, I'm gonna be the best receiver I could be. I'm gonna be the best defensive back I could be," which I would probably go receiver, go in the slot, um, and a punt return, a kick return, that kind of situation. But to answer your question, bro, no, he can't go both ways in the league. He can't.
I can see him getting it done, to be honest with you. I can truly see him getting it done just because he just it's tough to say just because it's something we've really never seen before in the aspects of like his body size and the way it's getting done, but the way people do treatment and the way they have recovery nowadays, I truly think he can be. Is he at every single down, both ways type of cat going into the next level? No. But I think for like a third and a fourth down situation, big time moment, big time player moment in the NFL, I think he's somebody you gotta have on the field. Because that's my only thing that just surprised me about him is it's just like every single time you got him on the field, it's a big play. To me, I feel like North Dakota State lost that game when they didn't double team him late in that game when he got hot. At some point, we gotta have an answer. And the guy, we don't have a true guy on our team that can cover this kid. So we gotta throw two at him. That's my thing. When him and that corner got to that one-on-one battle and they was really fighting on that side, I'm like, you really barking up the wrong tree. Because I was like, he's just gonna not he's not gonna stop, and you don't have that arsenal in your bag to really defend a player like this. And I just saw him go at him all game long, and I'm like, that's why he had it with the stat line he had. But I think just the way he plays and the way his body works, he's gonna do it all season long. Will he get hurt? That's the main question. I just don't want to see him get injured. But I think if he stays healthy, he's gonna play 100% both sides of the ball consistently as he's been doing. I see that happening.
Okay. Hey, and I want to hop on this next subject real quick while we get on stuff. Hey, out of these, I just want to harp on these two games, right? We had two teams that coming into the season were very much the praise for these two teams was at an all-time high. One of them being Oregon, that everybody was talking about was supposed to be one of the teams in the Big Ten that's supposed to compete, right? And then the other one being Michigan. I think everybody knew Michigan was going to take a step back. They still got ranked in the top 10, but both of these teams, Michigan ended up winning their game by 20. Oregon pulled theirs out by 10. But y'all seem like y'all were watching the game. I was caught up in the A&M Notre Dame game. I forgot those two games were even going on as far as the two until we started texting in the group chat of what was going on. And I tuned in at the end. What happened with Oregon? Did either one of y'all watch the majority of that game and kind of can fill me in on what was going on?
I was watching the game, man, and who was they playing? They're playing Idaho, the Vandals, right? These the cats that play in that little stadium it's a dome, but it's like a tube, like an inner tube, or whatever out there in Idaho where they make them potatoes and stuff like that, right? Y'all go to Longhorn and get your load of baked potatoes. That's what Idaho is. The Vandals over there, right? They playing Oregon in Eugene, bro. It's almost inexcusable if you ask me, because Idaho is not North Dakota State, and Oregon was just. It almost looked like to me like they said, "Hey, we're gonna start fall camp 2 days ago, and we're gonna get everybody together 2 days ago, and let's go ahead and install the offense and install the defense, and we got a game on Saturday, but it's Thursday while this install is happening." Offensively, defensively, special teams, all that's happening in 3 days. It's almost like fall. It's almost like camp didn't happen, and Oregon just showed up to play a football game in front of 53,000 people. Um, I'm not taking anything away from Idaho. Nothing away from Idaho. Idaho played a very spirited game, and I think that had a lot to do with it. But most importantly for me, what this does is it questions my trust in Dan Lanning. I think Dan Lanning should have had Oregon much more prepared. Deion didn't have this problem. Deion don't have a roster Dan Lanning has. If Colorado was playing Idaho, it would have been a blowout, a complete blowout. Shador would have thrown for 1,000 on Idaho. Okay, Oregon couldn't come close to that. So I'm just wondering what is going on with Oregon. And it's way too early to be having the questions. And I wish I was a part of a sports talk podcast or radio station or something up there in the Pacific Northwest, because this was not good. What you think, Drew?
I thought it was interesting. I didn't think they played a great game all around. I thought they were very sloppy. But I think one thing that you can always bet with Oregon, if they got the quarterback to win the game, they're gonna win the game. And I think that's what they showed when the Saturday was that the quarterback was ready to play. And I think if you have a quarterback that's poised in these type of games where it's tough, you can outlast certain teams in a week one. If we just outlast a certain team, we survive to keep things and keep it cleaned up. So I think with the talent they got around them, it's something you don't want to see, but they can afford to have a little slow start to this type of game. I think that Idaho is a team to get this type of game out the way with because they're gonna happen in the season. So I wasn't too alarmed by it, but when I didn't watch the game like entirely, I watched really just the first and second quarter. But I was like to really just kind of waiting when it was gonna start, waiting for the track meet to get going. Okay, I've heard all these big things about this team. When is it gonna start? Looking back on it after the game, watching really deep in the second half highlights, it's really never got going. It's going to get going at some point, but with them being in the Big Ten now, you usually want to see them show up to the plate, and they didn't do that Saturday. But they got a quarterback who's going to be great. He's going to be the Heisman candidate, so I think he's going to keep it going.
No, you're absolutely right. And when you're talking about the Big Ten and their presence as a brand new conference or whatever, just like the SEC is a brand new conference, and even the Big 12 is a brand new conference, and we all know what is that the Pac-2, they're a brand new conference too. So, but the Big Ten is honestly wide open. If you ask from what I saw this weekend, if they played a round robin this weekend based on what we saw, I couldn't tell you who the best team was, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't definitively say it was Ohio State. I couldn't definitively say it was Oregon. I couldn't definitively say it was USC. You look at the Southeastern Conference. There's debates to be had there between Oklahoma, Texas, Alabama, and Georgia. If you ask me, the Big 12, Arizona looked really good. well, a player on Arizona's team looked really good. Um, Someone that you got to pay some attention to out there. Of course, we just talked about the ACC and how it doesn't look that good. So, we had a conversation 2 podcasts ago, or maybe 1 or 2 podcasts ago, about how many teams will represent each conference. I'm interested to see how that number changes throughout the course of the season too, as we see what we see on TV. Because our eyes don't lie.
Yeah, the best thing for the ACC is they get one guaranteed. That's the best thing for them. So they can say they at least get one team to go to the playoffs, but who that's going to be, I have no clue. I'm so interested in that right there. But I think one thing about the ACC is Miami a team that they really showed a glimpse of? Is that the truth?
Or was
I
it
don't
Florida?
think that really. I'm not trying to hate on the guy, but I don't think the quarterback Cam Ward is what he has advertised. I think he makes the sorry teams look sorry. And I think he's really good at like being that like flashy guy who can make all the arm throws and really put up a show. But when it comes down to him to be a true quarterback, I'm really curious about that one. I really want to see that one. Florida
Well, listen.
sucks, but bottom
Oh,
line,
listen. Listen. They're awful, man. I feel so bad for them. Well, I say I feel bad for their coach. I really
Hey,
don't. You know what I'm saying? Because he
hey,
made
did
some
y'all
stupid.
see what I sent y'all about the head? I don't know if it's true or not about their head coach getting into it with the guy in the mascot costume.
Talking about Florida?
Yeah, Billy
Yeah.
Napier getting into it with the mascot was chirping at him going into the locker room, and so they going back and forth, man, had to be restrained.
They don't
That's
like him no
that
more. They don't
that's
like him
a
no more.
hey, that is a crazy situation going on down in there, and that hey, that's all I'm gonna say about that. All right, so real quick, I know it's late. Last topic I want to get on. Give me one guy. Let's turn it back towards the SEC. Give me your most surprising quarterback pick out of who played this weekend for the SEC teams. Who kind of stood out and surprised you? I had two in mind for me, and mine was Jackson Dart and Nico. But I gotta go with Nico, just from the point of when you look at Ole Miss, we knew what they were supposed to do. It's just whether or not were they going to do it or not, and they did it. So to me, it wasn't really a surprise. It was like, okay, we thought this was going to happen. This is how the offense was going to look. That's how it looked. I think at half he had like over 300 yards passing at halftime for Ole Miss. Nico is somebody when I turn towards Tennessee, I'm looking at Tennessee and I'm like, it was a question mark of how can they get back to that high-powered, fast-paced tempo offense. And look, watching that game before the South Carolina game started, I caught a lot of what he was doing. And they look back, they look as good as they looked back in 2022 when they had Hendon Hooker back there. And I tell you what, I'll give a little damper down to it because it was Chattanooga. You at home, you did what you were supposed to do, but just the way that offense executed, it seemed like it was just smooth sailings from the time they started the game to the time they ended the game. So that's my pick for the most surprising or my top quarterback play coming out of the SEC out of this past weekend. Let me give me y'all's two picks.
I'm all over Nussmeyer at LSU. Let me tell you something. When that game started, now he didn't win the game, but this man was accuracy. I'm talking about it looked like he was executing that offense to perfection. Whatever that offensive coordinator saw, Nussmeyer saw it too. He could do no wrong for 3 quarters, and he really didn't lose the game. To be honest with you, he really didn't. I'm looking when they if they figure it out, they got the right quarterback. Let me say that. I'm talking about long term. They got the right quarterback. This guy can execute that offense. And it almost reminds me a little bit of what Burrow had without the deep shots. Now, granted, Burrow was all about the deep shot, but
oh,
it's the play action, it's the rollouts, it's it's the get your head around footwork, plant the right foot. You know what I'm saying? Like the ball's coming out on time. Nussmeier's not bad, man. If you ask me, that's my pick.
I'm gonna put a big ass question mark on that one right there. Big ass question mark on that one. And we're gonna have to put like a name crunch on Joe Burrow for a while. There's no other person could have been like that for LSU jersey in a long time. My thing about Nussmeier is in the tightest moments, his true colors always show. And I think you're right in the aspects he didn't lose the game, but you also didn't win the game when the time was to win the game either. So those things always matter to me when it comes to those moments. My two biggest players were I would say Jalen Milroe for Bama, just starting in a brand new offense with a brand new coordinator, with brand new everything, and how well that team will, how many points, I wouldn't say how well, but how many points they actually got up to put up, and how long he played in that game. I thought it was really interesting how long he played really gel with the guys he really worked on. And then Nico, I think Nico is a premier quarterback right now. I think when you think about trying to put a quarterback on paper, what you can build in one, Nico is everything on that list from top to bottom. And I think he kind of just went out there and proved that in the first half performance. Honorable mention, I would say right there with Jackson Dart with Ole Miss, and then the guy from Arkansas. I forgot. I don't really know how to pronounce that first name. I think it's like Taylor Green. He
Yeah.
put up a hell of a performance, actually scrambling for his life around with Arkansas. But it's actually interesting to watch his what was going on right there. But a lot of good quarterback playing in the SEC.
And look, before we leave, hey, I'm putting Mississippi State on radar. Mississippi State's on radar. The offense, the man, it's relatively exotic. I know we may not have seen it. Ain't nobody paid no attention to it, but they gonna cause some problems. They gonna cause some problems. Whoever the OC is, I don't even know his name, but Mississippi State gonna cause some problems this year.
Hey, I hear
Yeah, but
you.
that's interesting. Hold on, real quick. We putting some little radar stuff on. Look at Vandy.
Oh, hey.
Upset of the weekend. Vandy with the upset of the weekend. Get the SC pride going. Keep it
Hey
going.
man, listen. Hey, listen. We joked about them. I said, hey, they won.
Hey,
Anchor
look.
down.
Hey. Hey, um, hey, congrats to Vandy, man. Vandy they showed up to the party.
Yeah,
They came to play. They had a little swag about them. You see, they out
yeah.
there strutting and doing their
That little
thing. We gonna gloss over the fact that they almost blew almost a 20-point lead out there. We'll gloss over that. But hey, uh, but hey, they got the win. They did what they were supposed to do. They got their win. And hey, welcome to the party, Vandy. We hey, you're more than welcome to come join the club. You can't be just a studious school no more. If you want to come play some football, come on, come play some football.
Oh,
They
yeah.
And
got a
let's not
chance to
forget
start
about
out 3-0.
let's not forget about the $65 million 12-seat renovation they got going on right now too
That's
in both
still
his
going
lost.
on. Oh
Fight through the
Lord.
pain.
Was that?
I said they got to fight through the pain.
Oh yeah. Fight through the pain. Hey, you got something to cheer about. They might have a little bit more fans show up. I know half they stadium, they showed the crowd. There was a lot of red out there. But they get some more people to show up after a victory. We'll see how it goes. But hey, we know it's late. Thank everybody for tuning in. Whoever's watching this after the fact, thank y'all for doing it. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you know when we go live. Stay tuned this week. We'll have some new videos going out, our games of the week. Hopefully get those out by Thursday, and we will catch y'all then. Get ready for week 2 of college football this season. We'll holler at y'all.